Have you guys been checking the Epstein files? Because I have, and all I can say is or more. The rabbit hole that is the Epstein file doesn't have an end. It goes all the way to the depths of hell. Because what do you mean he said there are millions of babies, very little good vegetable cream cheese?
This picture found in the Epstein files appears to show human meat directly next to turkeys on a cutting board. So you can actually download and scroll through all these photos yourself like I've been doing for the past few days. But at one point recently, I started to see people talking about this image. It is in file EFTA01646032. And you just have to scroll down until you find this. Now, this is a more full version of the photo that's unredacted. And as you can see, it appears to be a naked human or possibly a child with its legs up in the air.
At this point, who isn't mentioned in that file? Because see, even the former president of South Africa, President Jacob Zuma, was mentioned in there. There is an email that suggests that Jeffrey Epstein had arranged for a dinner for the former president of South Africa, President Jacob Zuma, at the Ritz Hotel in London in the year 2010. And this email also suggests that there was a beautiful Russian model in attendance. Apparently, this Russian model's role at this dinner is to add, in quotes, some real glamour to the occasion that is this dinner.
Now, the dates of this email do actually match up with the dates where Zuma was in London by the invitation of Queen Elizabeth. Now, no idea why they allegedly met or what they could have discussed in the beginning.
And have you guys seen that clip where Trump said that nothing came out about him in the Epstein files and that it was all a conspiracy theory about him, even though man was mentioned like some 50 billion gazillion times in the files?
With this most recent release of the files, did you know that Bill Gates is listed 2,000 times? Bill Clinton is mentioned 1,600 times. Elon is listed 1,100 times. Jim Jordan is listed 70 times. Chuck Schumer is in there like 50 times. And Dumpy himself over 38,000 times. This is why we say he is the files. It's no longer the E-files. It's the Donnie files featuring Jeffrey.
And in a good number of the times he was mentioned, he was allegedly in a controversial position. But let him tell it, and this is what he has to say.
Now that nothing came out about me, other than it was a conspiracy against me, literally, by Epstein and other people. But I think it's time now for the country to maybe get onto something else.
But what would you say to people
like
who feel like they haven't gotten
healthcare
justice, Mr. President?
Something that people care about.
See how quickly they want us to move away from this, because they know that the more we stay on this topic, the more their evils are going to be exposed. Talking about some, we need to move on to something that people care about. The global population cares about the Epstein files. What are you talking about? And two things can happen or can be happening at the same time. We can be talking about the Epstein files and making sure that all these evils get exposed and these people involved get arrested, because hell, why have nobody been arrested yet? What's going on? That's something else we care about as well, bringing the perpetrators, these evil mofos, to justice. So yeah, we can do all of this and at the same time still talk about healthcare. We are human beings, we can multitask. Get with the program.
Yeah, what did you say? Go ahead,
What would you say to the survivors who feel like they haven't gotten justice?
You are the worst reporter. No wonder CNN has no ratings because of people like you. You know, she's a young woman. I don't think I've ever seen you smile. I've known you for 10 years.
See how defensive he's getting. And Trump, nobody owes you a smile. You are not entitled to people's smile, especially women's smile. Like, what is this all about? Like, I've never seen you smile. What? And time and place, please. Like, we are talking about real serious issues here. Women, young girls, children got essayed and trafficked for years. Some even, it seems, got EATEN censoring for YouTube because they be on my behind lately. They don't like me saying anything anymore. So these are serious issues. Like, people went through hell at the hands of these individuals. But what he cares about right now is whether or not she's smiling for him. Like, what?
I don't think I've ever seen a smile
Well,
on
I'm
your face.
asking you about survivors.
You know why?
of Jeffrey
You know why you're
Epstein,
not
Mr.
smiling? Because you know you're not telling the truth. And you're a very dishonest organization, and they should be ashamed of you.
These are survivors of a sexual abuse of healthcare.
And the fact that this man still have people who are supporting and defending him, even after all of this, is crazy to me.
And this comes as several people in the MAGA are now making videos claiming that he is in them 0 times, claiming a giant goose egg. And that's because, of course, none of them are willing to actually see these files or read any of them, because it would mean coming face to face with their cognitive dissonance. This way, they can just continue to claim ignorance. And while many of these MAGA are just claiming these are all allegations, there's no proof of anything, remember, every single horrible thing they ever thought about Joe Biden came from altered videos, dozens of them. And yet they wholeheartedly believed them from nothing other than rudimentary Photoshop or from sound clips being added in. Yet with Dumpy, we've had hundreds of pieces of sworn testimony, witness accounts, affidavits, evidence, audio clips of himself, video. We have so much evidence, yet they still refuse to believe it. But they'll believe anything that Dumpy says, which is why they think he's in these files 0 times. Because whenever he gets caught doing something, he comes out and claims that it exonerates him.
He did say smart people don't like him, so...
Smart people don't like me, you know, and they don't like what we talk about.
So I guess that's the long and the short of why he still have fans and supporters.
But there's one key thing you can always take away from this. Dumpy has never sued anybody who accused him of assault, because he knows that it would lead to discovery, which is why this newest thing from the Grammys is not going to go anywhere. Trevor Noah made this joke at the Grammys about him, and Dumpy immediately got pissed off saying he was going to sue Trevor Noah, but it's never going to happen, because one thing Agent Orange is terrified of is discovery.
Elon Musk, on the other hand, has officially lost whatever cool and or sexy he had left. I mean, he never had any in my eyes to begin with, but, you know, one man's poison is another man's... What's he saying again? One man's food is another man's poison. So who knows? Maybe there are people out there that thought the guy was cool and or sexy. I don't know. But, you know, after the recent release of emails, man wasn't looking all that fly anymore to most people, and is presently getting clowned, right? Because according to the drop that we had from the recent files and the emails, he was allegedly... I'm going to put that in here, even though we have the emails, right? Because... these people, they have money and broke as hell. I don't want to get sued. I can't afford it in any capacity. He did try a good bit to get an invite to Epstein's island and his parties, allegedly, but he got snubbed. Rejected quite a lot.
Elon Musk asked Jeffrey Epstein when the wildest party on his island was going to be. That was on November 25th, 2012, and a month later on Christmas, Elon Musk is emailing again saying, do you have any parties? He says he really wants to let loose, and a peaceful island experience is the opposite of what he wants. And Jeffrey Epstein is going to send a helicopter to come get him. It is Christmas morning, and he is asking a sex offender who has already been prosecuted for soliciting prostitution from a minor when the wildest party is going to be on his private island. A couple months later, Jeffrey Epstein and multiple assistants all went to SpaceX for a visit and a lunch with Elon. And you can read in the emails about Jeffrey bringing multiple young assistants with him to SpaceX. Later that same year in 2013, Christmas comes around again, and Elon Musk is emailing about another holiday visit. Here at the bottom it says, Elon Musk, we will be in the St. Bart's area. Is there a good time to visit? Jeffrey Epstein says, always space for you. Elon Musk sends 2 emails and I guess didn't get a response, because then Jeffrey Epstein's assistant up here, Leslie Groff, had to remind Jeffrey to respond. So he kind of got a little bit ghosted by the pedophile that he really wanted to hang out with. So it seems like he spent multiple Christmases or multiple holiday visits at Jeffrey Epstein's island, or at least really, really, really tried to get there.
Imagine him being so lame that not even a pedo wants to be around you. That's crazy.
And ever since those revelations, Elon has been, how do the kids say it, crashing out. He's posted about the Epstein files more than 85 times over the last 2 days. And if I may, Elon, slow down, brother. You got to make some time for tweeting about the white genocide, too. Life's a balance. But this is obviously important to Elon. So, all right, give us the best argument for your innocence.
Musk denies any wrongdoing. writing over the weekend, "If I actually wanted to spend my time partying with young women, it would be trivial for me to do so without the help of a creepy loser like Epstein."
I could do what Epstein does on my own is not the moral clarity we were expecting here. But my favorite part of the Musk-Epstein emails, you ever have a friend where you don't really share the same sense of humor, but you share the same interests? And they shared the same interests?
Epstein writes him and says, any plans for New York? The opening of the General Assembly of the UN has many interesting people coming to the House.
Many interesting people, Elon. Wink, wink. Get it?
Elon replies, I run and lead product design engineering for two complicated companies. Flying to New York to see UN diplomats do nothing would be an unwise use of time.
I'm sorry, Jeffrey, could you make it a little more obvious for your friend?
To which Jeffrey Epstein replies, do you think I am retarded? Just kidding. There is no one over 25 and all very cute.
What the f?
Anyways, he did try to get his cool back and do some damage control. There is a post from him that says, no one pushed harder than me to have the Epstein files released, and I'm glad that that has finally happened. I had very little correspondence with Epstein and declined repeated invitations to go to his island or fly on his Lolita Express, but was well aware that some email correspondence with him could be misinterpreted and used by detractors to smear my name. Is the whole, you are taking it out of context thing. That's what he's doing, but, with the emails. Be so effing for real. But he continues, he says, I don't care about that. But what I do care about is that we at least attempt to prosecute those who committed serious crimes with Epstein, especially regarding heinous exploiting of underage girls.
Okay, so I was looking through the Epstein files because I like to be educated on what I'm talking about, and this really caught me off guard. Because you have a picture of a redacted face that looks like an underage child, and next to it is a candle. Well, when you scroll down, there are two babies on the feet of this table. And what's very off about this is these look placed there. They don't look connected to the table, and the table next to this whole area does not match at all. I feel like people should be talking about this more. And if you want this to spread, look up Dubai chocolate so I don't get shadowed.
This abomination and crime against the universe and humanity as a whole that was and is Epstein and all the people that were in collaboration, association with him while he was doing all of those heinous, wicked things that he was doing that are documented in the Epstein file. It's crazy. I'm sick to my stomach. And I've not even seen all the documents yet. And it keeps me up at night. For one, I can never look at cream cheese the same way ever again. Now, I'm not even sure I can go to the market and buy vegetables without thinking about that line. Because what did he mean? Putting babies and vegetables and cream cheese like that in a sentence, like what is the context like? And there were a lot of cold talks as well. I saw a comment that said something in the lines of they cannot believe that when it was time for them to be adults, that's when all of these very dark things are happening. All I want to say to that is, as scary as all of the things that are documented in the files are, it's unfortunately not the first time in history that something like this is happening. I mean, for the YouTube, they ate black people. So not to compare or take away from the conversation at hand, I'm just saying, like, the point of me bringing that up, it's not the first time something this extreme, something this sadistic and dark is happening in history. It's not new, unfortunately. So I want to bring in that context because I see a lot of people implying that this is the first time something this crazy is happening. It quite literally isn't. It's not, unfortunately, for all of us.
I'm going to say something that's going to sound wrong the moment you hear it. And this is going to be the hardest conversation about Epstein we're going to have. I'm being honest. The Epstein case was not a failure. It wasn't a failure. It was a successful containment event. And I want you to acknowledge that before we go anywhere. Because there is not a list. Because a list implies that something went undiscovered. Right? Nothing important here is undiscovered. There is girls. There were flights. There were houses, witnesses, settlements, a conviction. There was everything. And after all that, the system continued to do business with them. That's what happened. It's not even ignorance. It's literally an evaluation they conducted. And there's a sentence in all of this that you're not really supposed to say. That some crimes are tolerated because stopping them would destabilize the people who run things. That's the reality. Not because they're evil. Not because they're in a cabal. I don't even want y'all to talk like that anymore. I want you to understand they're relational inside of the system they live in. That's all they are. Relational inside of the system they live in. And that's the one sentence that's radioactive and you never get to hear it. Because the media wants you to believe that there's danger in what's hidden. Right. It isn't. There's danger in what's known and absorbed. Because once you realize that, you'll stop asking who's on the list. You'll say something much more dangerous than that. I want to hear more dangerous speech out there. What else is being allowed because it's cheaper than stopping it? That's what I want you to talk like. Because that's the one question that gets people cut off stage all the time. So let me make this more uncomfortable for you. Because I'm being honest with you. This will be the most serious conversation about Epstein we're ever going to have. The women are still here. They are. They were never the missing evidence. They were the inconvenient version of proof. Their existence should have ended everything, but the fact that it didn't means that the system already made its choice. And that choice is not about guilt. It was about cost. So the media goes even further than this, right? Because there's a sentence that they could have said by now that I'm going to say for you, okay? I'm going to say for them. If a predator is rich enough, mobile enough, and socially insulated enough, there is no reliable mechanism in modern civilization that could stop them early. That's the truth. That's the truth. I'm going to be so serious with you. I'm going to say it again. If a predator is rich enough, mobile enough, socially insulated enough, there is no reliable mechanism within the United States, within modern civilization as a whole, that can stop them early. Guess what they can do with them? Settle afterward, litigate later, reframe the story, and move on. That's all they can do. And that's not a bug. This is literally the design limit of this society. Because no one at the top is panicking, but I want you to understand why. Because exposure does not threaten power. Right? It doesn't. Exposure to power is just bad weather to them. Recognition does. Recognition forces the admission that justice is conditional. And once that's admitted publicly, the story holding the system together collapses, right? But that's why the conversation is so childish too. I want you to really get your head around this. Names, lists, speculation, drama. But if we all stay with the adult conversation for more than 10 seconds, people might realize something irreversible. So I'm going to say the most irreversible thing that you could ever hear right now. We do not live in a system that prioritizes preventing harm. We don't. We live in a system that prioritizes surviving it. I'm going to say it slowly for you. We do not live in a system that prioritizes preventing harm. We live in a system that prioritizes surviving it. Because once you understand that, then you'll know what's exactly going on. And this is even the most controversial part. We could go even further than this. I want you to really understand. Epstein did not expose the hidden underworld. No, he exposed the upper boundary of accountability. He showed exactly how far harm can go before power says that's enough. That's all he showed. And that boundary is actually much further out than anybody can admit. Than anybody even wants to admit. So when you hear somebody say, why won't they just release everything? Why won't they just come forward? Well, understand what they're really asking for. Understand what's really going on. They want reassurance that this is still just a normal scandal and a normal ending. That's what they want. But it isn't, right? This was a systems demonstration. I want you to lock in. This was a systems demonstration and the system passed. And that's why it feels so hard to hear, but not even because I'm being extreme. I'm not saying anything crazy. It just takes away your last comfort, right? Your last comfort. That if something is bad enough, someone else is going to stop it. But history says otherwise every single day. Every day. And that silence around this case isn't confusion either. This is the active sense. This is an active system of recognition management that they're conducting on us. That's all it is. That's all it is. So I just want you to understand the reality. We do not have a system that could check an Epstein-style character. That's all we have. That's all we have.
Well, you guys let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. Until next time, I'll be catching you in the next one. Be safe out there, guys. Please be safe because the world we live in, hell no.